You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Yesterday's press briefing, Donald Trump revealed that he thinks he's a king. Check this out.
Clarify your understanding of your authority vis-a-vis governors. Just to be very specific. For instance, if a governor issued a stay-at-home order...
When you say my authority, the president's authority, not mine, because it's not me. This is when somebody's the president of the United States, the authority is total. And that's the way it's got to be.
Total. Your authority is total.
It's total.
Your authority
And the
is
governors
total.
know that.
So if
The governors know that. Now you have a couple of bands of excuse me. You have a couple.
Could you rescind that order?
You have a couple of bands of Democrat governors, but they will agree to it. They will agree to it. But the authority of the president of the United States having to do with the subject we're talking about is total.
That is utterly laughable. Joining us right now is Patricia Broussard. She is the constitutional law professor at Florida A&M University. All right, I'm sorry. Excuse me for laughing, but Patricia, really, you don't even forget reading the Constitution. You can at least, just walk by it and know that's just stupid.
Well, under normal circumstances, I would agree with you 100%. Probably last month, I would agree with you 100%. So, there are two different questions you're asking. You're asking, is it constitutional? That's one question. You're asking, can he do it? That's an entirely different question that you're asking. And first, let me thank you for having me on. And secondly, let me shout out the Florida A&M University College of Law, my colleagues, and especially my students who I love dearly, and to my alma mater, Howard University School of Law. So, in
Doc, you getting all the shout-outs in.
Well,
you leave anybody out? You want to do your high school, your middle school, your elementary school?
Well, this is such a hard time for everybody. The students are suffering really a lot, so I have to prop them up a little bit.
I got you.
But to the first question, when I saw that clip, I was like, what is he talking about? So if you have to guess what he's talking about, if you have to speculate as to what he's talking about, he's probably not talking about anything that makes any real sense. I couldn't figure out if he was talking about powers that he derived from the Constitution, inherent powers of the presidency, emergency powers, or what exactly he was talking about. But I concluded that irrespective of if he was talking about constitutional powers, inherent powers, or emergency powers, that he would still be wrong with respect to whether those are constitutional. So that's my first answer, that, we can go through an academic analysis of all of those powers and we can see that it's not in the Constitution that says he can do that. It's not an inherent power because the court has said in Youngstown's Sheet and Tubing Company that there is no inherent powers to the presidency, and that has been debated since the Constitution was drafted. Alexander Hamilton said there were inherent powers. James Madison said there were not inherent powers to the president. And by inherent powers, we mean powers that are not listed in the Constitution but are derived from the position of being president. For example, if you're the president of a fraternity, you get to bang the gavel. So it doesn't say that in the rules, but it says that inherently because of what you get to do. So no inherent powers. The emergency powers are circumscribed and limited. And so I have no idea what he's talking about. Now, when he said something about I have many, many, many powers, that's what led me to believe that he was talking about the Emergency Powers Act, because there are actually 136 actions that can be taken as a result of that act. But it's circumscribed. It's not unlimited. But the thing about it is there's this little thing that we have called the 10th Amendment. Mm-hmm. And the 10th Amendment says that all the powers that are not explicit, all the powers that are not delineated in the Constitution go to the states. So I find it ironic that you would say on the one hand, states, you're on your own, get your own respirators, ventilators, masks, you can do this, and then to turn around and say, we're going to dictate the parameters of how you handle this emergency that we have stepped back from. So I think The 10th Amendment is very clear here that the governors can make decisions. They can do what they want to do. The problem I have and my hesitancy, and the reason I said if you had asked me this last year or previous to this, I would have said, oh, unquestionably, he can't do this. The problem that I have and the wild card that I have is the United States Supreme Court. I'm not sure, when you see a Supreme Court rule that in the middle of a pandemic, you can have an election, no problem. When you see a United States Supreme Court that says, oh, it's okay to have a travel ban, when you see a United States Supreme Court that seems to, and I can only speculate, that at least 4 or 5 members at least bow down to the president. So I think he's feeling pretty confident that the court will back him. But in addition to that, what are we going to do? Because when I read that Constitution, it says we the people. And so I think the power is in our hands to say, we're not standing for this. But like I said, the question is, is it constitutional? I'll say no. If the second question is, will he do it? Can he do something? I wouldn't put it past him.
Well, right, because here's a guy who, remember, when he came in, he's like, oh, I'm told I can do whatever I want, that no laws apply to me, that that his whole deal is I can't be charged, you can't do anything. He has uttered many times before, I can do whatever I want. And he actually believes that. But here's what's interesting. So clearly there was a conversation, probably with some Republican governors and some Republicans in Congress. And so this is Donald Trump a few moments ago on that whole issue. Watch this cleanup on aisle 7.
The plans to reopen the country are close to being finalized, and we will soon be sharing details and new guidelines with everybody. I will be speaking to all 50 governors very shortly, and I will then be authorizing each individual governor of each individual state to implement a reopening and a very powerful reopening plan of their state at a time and in a manner as most appropriate.
Doc, I love this. I'm authorizing governors.
Yes.
To reopen their states when you can't authorize jack for a governor.
Yeah, under what authority are you trying to do that?
Well, see, that's the cleanup. That's the cleanup. The cleanup is I screwed up yesterday. I know the hell I was talking about. Now I'm authorizing each governor. I'm authorizing individual governors of individual states on a powerful plan to reopen their state when you can't tell them what the hell to do.
You're not the boss of me, not with respect to that. And like I said, the irony behind saying you're on your own, get your own ventilators, get your own masks.
Right.
And if you try to get them, we're going to intercede in some way and prevent that. And then to turn around and say, but I get to decide the parameters of your plan. I think that's intellectually dishonest, and that's not going to happen, period.
Patricia Broussard, constitutional law professor at Florida A&M. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Good night.
And I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications.